So we are using the product discovery tool in Market Intelligence run by Viral Launch. So they have to find potential products. Just to remind you, they have 4 different ways of looking. We are looking under the products. We've selected most categories except for electronics and cell phone accessories, and we've said $2,000 minimum sales per month and price between $20 and $70. I think this tool, by the way, is only for the USA, so bear that in mind if you wanted to do Europe. So we have hit on some particular product ideas, and we homed in on this ladies' glove for grappling. I think it's women's boxing or martial arts or something. So I've opened that on Amazon. Let's have a look here. Gloves for women, grappling, martial arts, sparring, punching bag, ladies' cage fighting. Certainly got a specialist thing, isn't it? So I'm not even sure exactly what I would look for. Maybe ladies MMA gloves. Let's try that as a keyword. I'm going to just open another Amazon tab and try that out. So this is certainly quite an obscure looking sport. I mean, it's quite odd. It's not something I even knew existed, and it's certainly not a world I inhabit or wish to inhabit. But obviously, that's the kind of thing that can be a nice little niche to dominate. But I do think if you're not into MMA and you don't know somebody who is, you may struggle to understand this market. And like I've said always, I mean, I prefer every time for somebody to go into a market they understand. For example, I've got a client who's a doctor, basically a GP, and obviously, you know, he understands certain physical ailments and illnesses in a level, and he understands because he's a GP, so he faces the general public all the time. He understands exactly his target market's thoughts, fears, problems, whether physical or merely in their own mind, incredibly well. That's a very, very powerful place for selling anything. And I'm not going to get into what he's selling because that would break confidentiality. But that's a great example of a good way to search for products. I'm not so convinced by this because it's very random, not based on a niche. But what the hell? If it works for some people. Like I said, no religious objections to this. So I'm running Jungle Scout on this just to see how it works, just to get another opinion, if you like. So let's get rid of any duplicates here. Okay, so yep. So we could say that the number of the amount of sales is actually not inconsiderable, although I don't exactly what that is. I suppose if I really want to know, I'll export the CSV file, but that takes ages, so I'm not going to bother with that for now, but you can do that for yourself. I'm doing a rough count, so maybe say $80,000 of sales or something, which is quite a good sized market. That said, though, look at this. The first 2 products take about 42,000, so about half of the sales in the market. So I would say it's got strong competition from these guys, Tridea and Sanibel. And then let's have another look here. These guys, RDX, have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 listings, which is not that great. They're the ones who came up in the Market Intelligence original suggestion, right? That's RDX. So, sorry, got to find the right page now. Why on earth is that? No. Here we go, RDX. So yeah, 5 listings and 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. Say $6,000 in revenue. So there is some competition in this niche. I would say this isn't a no-brainer, but that's one way of dealing with when you find a product idea. Just take some kind of word out of the listing, or which seems common sense. I might even try then going sideways from this idea of MMA gloves to boxing gloves, which is obviously quite a different sport. Ladies boxing gloves and wraps and mitts. Okay, there's quite a different type of product. Let's have a look at that and see whether that's a nice little niche you want to go into. Again, if you're not a woman and you don't box, you better make sure you talk to some people who do, because this is a very probably very passionate niche. When you get very niche sports, people are very passionate about them, which is great. But if you don't understand them, you're going to miss the mark, which is very bad. So don't sell generic rubbish to passionate people. This would be my plea. Okay, again, not too bad. The revenue looks very, very strong for a couple of the it's actually kickboxing, which is a somewhat different thing again, right? So different sport, different people. Revenue looks strong. It's rather dominated by 2 listings again, but there is quite a lot of revenue left. So yeah, interesting. It's a possibility. So I wouldn't completely rule this out. So this is an example of me playing around really with some ideas from a product discovery tool. We'll also look at market intelligence as an alternative tool as well.